Well, hello and welcome back to GearHeadGeeks, where in this video we are going to continue with our TS250 beautification project, or revival we're going to call it. And in this video we are going to get this bad boy running. We have, I have already worked on the carburetor, so if you need to see that video of me rebuilding the carburetor, there's a link up here, somewhere up here, I think. Or is it over here? One of them, probably over here. And we will then go on it. You can watch that whole rebuild on that carburetor. We got a rebuild kit and it's all in there. So let's get to getting this thing running. We've got ignition work to do. The points have pretty much been, from what I've seen, frozen. Things are rusty in there. So let's just move right to it. So one of the next things we need to see is if this engine has any compression. I think it does. When I put the plug back in, it was really quite hard to kick over. I'm going to go over here and we'll screw in a compression gauge. Plug wire is kind of, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, I'm going to bring it over there and let's see if we can get the camera so that you can see what's going on with the compression. I'm not going to be, well, I guess I can try, but opening the throttle is going to be a little tough. But we'll get a good indication of, well, see if I can turn this just enough to be able, for you to be able to see. Come back over here. Well, I'll hold on to it. Well, I guess what I could do here is, let me see if I can get this slide out of here, and that'll at least open it up to where we can at least have the throttle open, if it'll come out. Look at that. I mean, it's in good shape. You can see it's pretty crusty in here, but that's okay. We'll fix that bad boy up. So at least now we can get air into the engine. Okay, I'm going to get up there. See if I can do this without hurting myself. Okay, so here we go. Oh yeah, 130 pounds, no problem at all. This is going to be great. This is going to be, we'll have this thing up and going in no time. The engine is in good condition. We don't know about the transmission or anything, but at least we do know that we've got good compression, and that's a good start. Okay, so after a soak with some Rust-Oleum rust dissolver, our stator, a little juicy at the moment, but let's rinse this off and see what we come up with. So after just a nice rinse off with, after using the rust dissolver, most of the rust is completely gone. The insides look pretty darn good. I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on some of the magnets. The point cam is just fine. This thing's going to be pretty much like new when I'm done. So after a bit of Scotch-Brite, and there's a little staining in here, but that's not bad. The magnets are all cleaned up extremely well. They just look almost new, and well, not almost new, but really, really nice and clean. No rust, no nothing. This baby is ready to be used. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some contact cleaner, and I'm just going to spray this. I'm going to get a head start and spray this guy down a little bit. Let's just get some of the crust off of there so that we can go work on these points and whatnot. And it just doesn't hurt to do a little bit of cleaning. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this contact cleaner to kind of just get inside the points and whatnot so that they at least move a little bit, because they are really, really stuck. And you can see they just kind of, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to pull the camera real close for you. And I'm going to open up the points so you can see, and they should snap back, and you can see they don't. So what we're going to do is I'm going to spray some of this in here and just kind of work those points back and forth, get a little lube going, get things straightened around inside, get all the dirt out of it, and we will then be ready to come up with a nut for this. There's no nut, but I think I can come up with something. Either that or I'll make something out of something else for now, and then at least we can get this thing to see if it'll spark, and then we'll work on the carburetor, and we can then at least try to get it to run before I start tearing off the pipe and all that stuff. So what I have here is a Dremel with a little wire brush on it, and we'll just go on ahead and we'll just work things over. Let's make things nice in there. This is a 12 by 125, which it is. So we'll go on ahead and hit it with the tap. Engine turns over nice and easy, but I don't want it to turn over, so I think I'll put a spark plug in it and see if that'll slow it down a bit. And that's better. Now let's make it look a little better. Ah, yes, that's much better. Okay, we're all cleaned up. We now have a nut for it. What I did with it. We have a nut for it, and that will allow us to put on the stator anyway, after we get the points all cleaned up and whatnot. They're moving freely now. Okay, so one of the first things I need to do here is clean these points. And so what I'll do is I've got a little point file here. It's designed actually for points. And I'm going to take that and then I'm going to spray it down with contact cleaner. And we'll just work these guys a little bit because they are probably pretty nasty. Okay, so now that those have been cleaned up a little bit, we'll spray them off. Okay, so I'm going to take a little burnishing tool and work on these points a little bit. Make sure that they open and close. This tool is designed for points or contacts, however you want to deal with it. And now what we're going to do here is, if you look, we have our point checker. So when the points are closed, that will show all the way, and then when they open, you'll see it moves. So you see how that changes? Let me probably change that a little bit. And there's our points opening and closing. So that's fairly simple. So now we're going to go to the black and yellow wire, and there's the same thing. Make sure we got we're opening and closing, which we are. Okay, now what we can do is I can go on ahead and put on this guy, and he's facing about like that, and we'll just set our points to the point where things open and close at the right time. And then, if we're lucky, we can go on ahead and check for spark. Okay, I'm just going to stick this on here loosely. Okay, on the Suzuki, see if I can move this around where you can see. On a Suzuki, now let me move it around a little more. There is a timing mark, and that timing mark is right here, okay? And I don't know if you can see it, but right in here is a dot. And what we need to do is when this rolls here, this is when we want to see the points open. So what we're going to do here is basically we're going to set this guy. Can you see that? No. Go here. Something like that. Get this guy grounded. Okay. Our points are closed as the meter shows us. Yep. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to do nothing more than just run this by the timing mark. And the timing mark is right there. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see, but as soon as that timing mark hits, okay, our points aren't opening. So what we got to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open them up a little bit so that they just start to break right. Oh, yeah, we can. Okay, the points are open. Now I'm going to close them down just a shade to where they just close. Hopefully. A little hard to, there it is. Right there. Okay, so then I'm going to lock them down close enough to where when we go by the timing mark, and we are directly on the timing mark. So this thing is actually timed fairly well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, and now that we know that points open and close, we can remove our meter, turn it off, save our little battery. There is this wire here, and up in this harness, hopefully, there is a, let me bring this guy back up where you can see again. Don't want to miss what's going on here. All right, so now in this harness there is a black and yellow wire, and on this harness there is a black and yellow wire somewhere. Here it is. Here's our point wire. So we're just going to go on ahead and plug this guy on. These things are not in good shape. They haven't been cleaned. We're just doing it. And what I did is I just took a spark plug and took the nut and just held down onto the spark plug wire. So here we go. Here's this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to go kick this thing over. Now I need to be able to see it. See if I can. Oh, look at that. We have spark. See if you can make it so you can see it. Oh yeah, we got good spark. So we have got spark. Beautiful. So we've got spark, we've got compression, so we've got two of the three things that we need to get this thing to run. And the third one is fuel. So I'm going to probably just go on ahead and pull this carburetor off and clean it all up. It's not a big job. We'll go on ahead and do that. Okay, so now that we've got spark and we've got this thing basically cleaned up a little bit, what we need to do is, in our next operation to get this thing running, we need to get a carburetor on it. So there's a video on cleaning these carburetors. I cleaned up the carburetor. It's in nice shape now. It's all rebuilt. So we need to continue on with this. So we need a gasket. Now I'm not going to put any goop on this at all because we're going to be taking it back apart to clean it in the future. But we do need to get it running. I have taken this and surfaced off this, just taken it and just ran it across a flat thing with some sandpaper. Put that on. A couple of block washers for now. Some 8mm nuts. We'll tighten that down, and then we'll go on ahead, and I have put together the carburetor. The cable is off of some other bike, I don't know, but I just needed something enough to get the carb to work. So we're going to kind of put together the throttle, but we're not going to hook up the oil injection or anything at this point. We'll run some premix through it. And that will at least help us get it to run. We got a couple things to do on the ignition, but we'll get that. Okay. So next, here's the carburetor, and I'm going to, hopefully I can, well, not hopefully, I will. So I'm just going to kind of route this thing through here. Whoops, kind of falling apart at the moment. And we'll get it routed up to the top. But what we're mostly concerned with right now is we're just going to plug this guy on. And hopefully it's not too much trouble. There it goes. Goes right on. I'll get a screwdriver and we'll put that on. And we'll just snug this down for the moment. Again, we're just trying to make this thing run. We're not here to give it a finished product. But the carburetor's on. I'm going to go work on the throttle a bit. Let's see if I can get this to... Oh yeah, there's plenty on this. And this is totally the wrong cable. Well, it's working. Okay, so we have a throttle and we've got spark. We've already been through that. I need to tighten this down. We need a spark plug cap. Then we need some gas, and then we can go on ahead and try and start this cookie up. So I've got an old spark plug cap here, and I will snip off this mess. And we'll just insert our spark plug cap in here, so we have something we can actually put on a plug. And these old ones just screw in. So now what I need to do is I'm going to remove the plug, and I will clean everything up. This has 2 spark plug holes, so this has to have 2 spark plugs in it. So we'll do that, and then tighten all this up, and we'll get some gas to this thing. And we've got a pretty rusty spark plug here. Let me make it so you can see it. All right. We'll get this guy out of here. This wiring is all a mess. I've got another wiring harness. Somebody has hacked this thing up so that it doesn't need an ignition switch, which isn't very good. We will be putting all this back together properly. And to be quite honest, so I cleaned up this plug and I looked at it. It's a W20 ESU. Well, this is super hot. This is burn a hole in your piston hot. So we'll just use this guy to plug up the other hole. We won't be using it to fire this thing. I've got a B7 EV here, which is probably a little. This thing probably needs an 8, but a 7 will be good for just starting it up. But we'll be checking our spark here real quick. But we do need to tighten this guy up. I'll get this plug in here for now, which is good. I'm going ahead and tighten this up. So we're good there. Okay, so now I'm taking this wire here and I've plugged it directly into, this goes right to the coil. This is a B7 EV, which is about right. You got a spark plug cap. I will go kick it over. I don't know if you're going to be able to see spark, but I see spark. Doesn't look very strong, but hopefully it's enough to get this thing to run. Tighten up the plug if you can't get a ratchet in there. Yeah, this one's tough. Not very well thought out. Oh well. Okay, so we've got spark. We got a fresh carburetor, so all we need now is a little bit of fuel. I will go prepare some fuel and get something over here. Okay, enough for now. We're going to throw a little 2-stroke in there. This is racing caster, and it just smells so good. It's going to be a pretty thick mixture of it. But this thing hasn't run for a while, and it could use a little lube. So we won't deny it that. And I stir this up a little bit. Yeah, we're going to get some even color in there. Okay, so the next thing is we've got to take this fuel line and we'll get it on the carburetor. Forward and take this, and all we need to do is just plug this guy onto here. Okay, so we've got spark. We're ready to put some fuel in this thing. I need to get this a little higher so that it'll actually flow downhill. Good. Okay. Let's turn on the gas and see if we have any major leaks at this point. And so far so good. So before I get too crazy about kicking on this thing, I better drain out whatever might be in the crankcase. Who knows what's in there, what kind of water or what's in there. Just that Suzuki's have got these drains on the crankcase, which is really, really nice. A lot of 2-strokes don't have this. And let's see what we get out of here. Well, not much. That's good. Make sure it's not plugged up or anything with junk. Yeah, there's some junk coming out. Yeah, I just had a lot of stuff in it. Oh yes. Think a little water, boys and girls. and by kicking it over a little bit, it will build a little pressure up and blow some of that water out the bottom, which is good. This thing's got a lot of compression. Much better. Much, much, much better. Let that drip for a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of carburetor and choke cleaner, and I'm just going to spray it into the carburetor. I'm going to get the piston up to the top here. Alright, so that's pretty close to the top, I guess. And that gives me a direct path. That'll give me a direct path into the right down the gullet and into the bottom. And it's coming out that drain hole. And that's nice. That's what we want. Okay, now we can go on ahead and we'll put our plug in. Okay, so now let's give this a squirt of gas. Okay, and I'm going to climb up there and, well, let me get this guy plugged in. Okay, we'll give us some spark. Let me climb up here. And no brakes or anything on this thing, so it's really hard to hang on to, and it's just a shin-killing thing of stuff sticking out. So here we go. Ooh, ouch. That was a kickback already. Let's open up the throttle a little bit and see if we can. How is that for a complete success? A little bit of prep, doing things right, and you don't kill yourself and having to kick it a bazillion times. This thing just went crazy. That's so sweet. So for the first time in decades, this thing just kicked right off. It took a few kicks to get it going, and just as you would expect, but it has been sitting for decades. We went on ahead, we cleaned up the carburetor. It was working. We got a relatively decent throttle cable on it. We cleaned up the plugs. We drained out the crankcase to get all that crud out of it. Sprayed a little bit of a carburetor cleaner in there to get it all cleaned out. And it just took right off. This thing runs, and it's just no big deal. So now we can move on ahead with the beautification of this motorcycle. This is just the first step in making sure we have a good bike. Does it run? You bet it does. No problem at all. Can we ride it? No, not quite yet. We have a lot of work to do. The engine's going to come out, get cleaned up. We'll check a few things on it. I don't have a shifter for it at the moment. That's one thing I don't have, but we can get all this other stuff going. I'm going to find a shifter somewhere online, but this thing runs. So, well, that's what I would call a complete success. It took us just a little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of prep, setting the timing right, making sure the points were working properly, and this thing basically came to life with just a few kicks. It's considering it had been sitting for decades with water in the bottom of it and draining out all that stuff, it obviously, should have even been harder. You just gotta love a two-stroke. They just work. If you have compression and spark, you need to make sure the bottom end's sealed up for the most part, but they just work. They're not hard to start. You can just do this fairly quickly. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will be continuing on with the beautification of this bike. Now that it runs and we know it runs, it is a super easy thing to do to really make it nice. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work. There's all sorts of rusted parts, but the bike is in relatively good shape other than all this ugly kind of surface rust on it. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time here on Gearhead Geeks.